So I'm on my laptop.
Okay. I'm in Oakland. We have 4 people here. Bob Redlow, and I'll let the others introduce themselves.
Gloria Young.
Dean Felt. Good to see you. Scott Lewis, NorCal Carpenters Union.
Did you hear that?
I did not.
Are we muted?
Are we
We're-
letting roll call now?
Too far from,
They're just introducing who's going to pay for it.
Yeah. Did you hear who was here?
Yes, we heard you well enough, Mr. Redlow. Thank you.
Okay, did you hear the other folks that are in the room with me?
We did. We'll still do a roll call at some point just to confirm.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Nancy.
Kind of interesting because this is final roll call. So would that be part of the Brown Act?
that's right. Nice to see you.
Are we ready? So a lot of
Trying to catch up with ADD. Come on. There's some fun.
Here, I'm sending it to you. Do you want me to send it to your email or text, Larry?
Who are we muting?
Huh?
Who do you want us to mute?
Anybody outside of our
I muted them.
Oakland is muted? Oh, yeah.
We asked them to join the conference because it connects to the issues, so they might have trouble unmuting now. We'll see.
Oh, okay.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm calling our board meeting to order at 10:03 a.m. And it's great to see everyone. Before we get started on the meeting notes, we want to do a roll call. And Fred, if you could introduce yourself and that's our deputy counsel, right?
Yeah, for the purposes of this meeting, I'll be the meeting clerk. My name is Ben McDonald. I'm a new attorney with the CWDB. And we will be calling roll one by one. It'll be a here or not, blank, I'd imagine silence if not. And then if you could please also just repeat your location so I can take a note of that. And then we can go ahead and begin. Are there any questions?
One thing I just want to note for everyone is this isn't some kind of bureaucratic process. This is based on the new state law of actually individualized, including for our motions. Anybody who's not here, we're gonna have to individually do the ayes by name for the people in the remote audience. So I just want to give you guys that disclaimer.
This is a carryover from the teleconference rules. When we have multiple locations participating in remotely, we do have to call every name to ensure that we get a really solid indication. Without further ado,
Please proceed.
okay. Kamar Amiri Devani. The Honorable Senator Ana Caballero. Chancellor Sonia Christian, designee Tony Cordova.
Present.
Honorable Assembly Member Damon Connolly, designee Aaron Vaught. Honorable Senator Smallwood Cuevas.
Maybe we can. And then you'll just move in. Yeah.
Was that a yay? I don't think so.
You wouldn't be.
Jamil Dada,
Here.
Leanne Eicher. Diane Factor,
Present, Los Angeles site.
thank you. Director Nancy Farias.
Various.
Farias.
Here.
Angela.
Yeah.
Dean Fielk.
Present.
From Oakland.
People's Republic of Oakland.
Larry Frank.
Present, Republic of East Los Angeles.
Secretary Mark Gailey. Leonard Gonzalez. Jason Hayter.
Present, Los Angeles.
Secretary Knox. Hillary Lentini. James Mangia. Rebecca Miller. Stephen Monteros. Bob Redlow.
Here from Oakland.
Charles Nicholas. Fabricio Sasso. The Honorable Senator Pilar Schiavo. Arlene Sharma. Jeremy Smith. Here. Sensley. Here. Superintendent Tony Thurmond. Designee Carolyn Zachary or Pete Caius. Floyd Travell. Director Rachel Xavier. And Gloria Young.
Here, Oakland.
In there that I'm hearing. No, you have to, wait, we have another person arrived.
And this is a.
Hillary Lentini, board member. Los Angeles.
I'm sorry, we can't hear that. I'm sorry to be. We're having some technical difficulties here and we can't hear the speaker right now. I'm sorry. We've got 4 people in the room, can't hear.
Somebody.
Yeah, we cannot hear you either from Oakland, but we can hear Diane perfect, but we can't hear you at the meeting room. Office.
So just for everyone in this room, we, due to the new rules, we can't continue the meeting until this is over.
Was not recognized. Enter your access code.
Miranda, is your laptop connected? Is that something that you could turn your audio on from your laptop?
Yeah, sure. Let's just.
And then you can move the laptop over here?
We can do that. We have to transfer the laptop to this each speaker because I don't think it catches audio from far away.
I think it's better.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, we switched some things around here too.
But can Bob,
You might have to mute one now.
Somebody needs to mute.
Can they hear us?
Can you hear us now? Checking in. LA, Oakland, let us know if you can hear us.
That's mine.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, we got an okay from Oakland. And LA? Diane, LA?
Dan, you're on mute. Can you hear us?
Red thing, so she's muted.
Can you not if you can hear us?
No, no.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay. We need to make sure one of the are muted so that we're not doing the echo.
Just mute Diane right now. And you can unmute her when she wants to talk.
All right, thank you all for your patience. We're gonna begin the meeting now. Our meeting process, this meeting is being conducted via teleconference on the Zoom platform. Only staff and board members in the notice and open to the public teleconference locations are on the Zoom meeting itself. The public can view this meeting via live stream on the CWDB YouTube page and in person. The California Workforce Development Board here in Sacramento, the ED and EDD satellite locations in Oakland, as well as Los Angeles, are listed in the meeting notice on our website. A link to the YouTube page, meeting agenda, board packet information can all be found on our website, cwdb.ca.gov, under State Board Meetings and Archives. This meeting is being recorded. By being present, you consent to being recorded. A recording of this meeting will be posted on our CWDB YouTube page. Public comment is now open and will be accepted via email at boardpubliccomment@cwdb.ca.gov. And I'm also happy to recognize people. All emails will be read aloud during the public comment period noted on the agenda and will be included in the meeting minutes as part of the public record. We can allow for up to 2 minutes for each comment per subject, so please try to be concise. To request to speak, you can use the raise hand feature. You can type speak into the chat function, and I'm happy to recognize people that are physically with us as well. You can type questions directly into the chat. We will try to get to those, but please note that anything typed in the Zoom chat box will be included formally as part of the meeting minutes, as part of the public record. So we are one short of quorum. So if anybody has arrived since we did the roll call at any of the satellite locations, please let us know right away so that we can acknowledge them. Okay. So because of, Bob, were you going to say something? Okay. So because of that, we're going to skip the action portion of our agenda and hopefully revisit it if we reach the appropriate threshold. We will start with Abby Snay, Labor Agency update under updates and discussion.
Yeah, thanks, Angela. Just a few things. I think everybody knows that the May revise was released. By June 15th, we will have an approved budget, certainly big implications for workforce and workforce investments, and we'll see where those land. The Labor Agency is very involved with the governor's office on work on the development of a new career education master plan. Working closely with many of you. I see that we have a quorum now. Do you want me to hold on?
Oh,
or-
we have.
Yes, Leonard Gonzalez.
So we're not.
We're looking at 18 as a quorum.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you added Leonard though.
Yes, I.
Okay, we're still one short actually.
Okay, I'll keep going. So this is in response to one of the governor's executive orders last August, calling, among other things, for a new master plan for career education, really career pathways, over with the goal of really having that new plan ready by the end of the calendar year. Over the last 6 months, there's been a series of regional convenings. Some of you may have attended, with the intent of gathering as much stakeholder input as possible. Over 700 people participated in these regional convenings. West Ed, which is the consultation and convening partner for this work, has consolidated that input as well as other input that has come in through other means and is really putting together a preliminary set of solutions and recommendations, circulating those internally as well as releasing those publicly in July. I would say look for, more innovations around increasing work-based learning, really reducing silos and isolation, really making access to education and progression through education much more seamless and accessible for people. So I would say watch for that release in July. The other work that I can mention is, and I know Stuart has mentioned this and his updates to the board, is the work through the governor's office on the infrastructure strike team. The heads of the agencies who will be receiving the federal infrastructure dollars have been meeting regularly, convened by the governor's office. And if you imagine the verticals of the different agencies, envision horizontal across those, referred to as the equity bridge. Within that, there's a workforce advisory group that's developing, which will really be a way to, I think, both inform and tap and kind of benefit from the workforce funding and what we can do with that through the infrastructure investments to create pipelines into jobs for people and our communities. There are conversations around some partnerships with the Brookings Institution to help inform that work that we're excited and optimistic about. And the last thing I'll mention is something I'm personally really excited about, which is through philanthropic dollars, a new partnership the labor agency is building the Corporation for Skilled Workforce to really look closely the ways in which our public system serve youth. And I think in many cases, it doesn't serve youth as effectively as it could. This work will align directly with the master plan, and we're just getting into scope right now, but we'll really start with looking at some of the outcomes for youth and young adults, I think with a focus on disconnected youth throughout the state's workforce systems, and really working on, changes, innovations, different kinds of improve the workforce outcomes, earnings, retention for young people in our state.
Thank you so much, Abby. You want to do the budget and legislative update as well?
I think for the,
You feel like you,
I think for the budget, it's, everybody knows May revise is out.
yes,
It's public.
okay. And then legislative, is there anything else you want to add?
I would look.
No, please.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is look for probably later in the summer, some legislation we hope to be introduced, continued around a system for teacher apprenticeship in the state, which we've been working very closely with education partners that I think could be transformative in creating pathways for teachers who then will not have to take time off to do student teaching without pay, and create much greater diversity in the teaching profession in the state, and get more teachers in the classroom who look like their students. So I know that's been a really high priority of ours and something we're excited about.
Is this specific to career CTE, career technical, just in general? Just over diversity. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for those updates. We'll take some questions for Abby Snee, starting with Diane Factor or Alea Satellite Office. You're muted.
We have to unmute. So we're kind of stringing together. Can you mute that one? Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We're using a series of iPhones and laptops to make up for the fact we haven't been able to get connectivity here in Los Angeles. So please excuse, and I'm not the best at all this. So I wanted to understand the there's a new and thank you, Abby, for the report. So the new master plan just covers career education, or is it broader than that?
Well, there is no
Okay, wait a
plan.
sec. Now you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
Now I can.
Okay, so there is no master plan yet. There is the development of a master plan, which, is involving labor, certainly colleagues at the chancellor's office and I think other folks in this room, which will not end at high school graduation is really, and some of us are advocating hard to look at adult workers and disconnected youth who are not part of the K through 12 system. Ideally in the vision I've certainly been advocating for, we can create a system that appreciates the 21st century workplace and offers access to people in and out of the workforce and higher education throughout their working lives.
In the master plan, are you, I hear you're really looking at supply side, the people who need the jobs and who have barriers to employment. But are you also looking at the demand side as California becomes a leader in the green economy?
So there will be, again, planning process and definitely attention to the demand side. I think in partnership with other parallel work the state is doing around jobs first and identifying priority sectors. And also, you may remember that in that same executive order, the governor called for a move towards skills-based, or I think what more people are referring to as skills-first hiring for state service. And really, I think a vision in the conversations is a change both in the way, and this is all very visionary and will be challenging to actually implement, but to really move more towards a skills-based, competency-based model, for both the education system and the ways that employers hire. So that's a long way of saying yes, to the demand side, right?
So, as we, are been a beneficiary of federal dollars coming in through the 3 programs, to basically bring the supply chain home to America. There are a lot of opportunities for good work that the technology has never been done in America. We have never produced those kinds of things. And so it's I would like to work with or look at the recommendations through Jobs First and GoBiz and whatever. And because what I think employers will be people who are as ready as they can be to learn a brand new technology that has not been performed. So there are no journeymen, for instance, yet, unless they bring them in from China or South Korea or someplace. So it's a kind of a shift in the model that, we've been operating under for about, 20, 25 years since I've been active, and it's a great opportunity. So I would really like to perhaps have a report from the Jobs First Council at this meeting, if possible, to hear about their work with our employer partners or from GoBiz, so that we can actually prepare in the high road model for the skills that will be needed and our new skills and new development.
Thank you, Dan.
So for a future meeting, I don't know if I have to make a motion. I'd like that to be put on the agenda.
Your input is taken. We'll work with our executive director, Kind Pereira, and follow up accordingly. Thank you. Bob Redlow, Oakland office.
Thanks. This isn't germane to Abby's comments, but some of us in the room wanted to know who the person to your right is, because we didn't have a formal introduction. We did it at the executive board, but not here at the board meeting.
Okay, yeah, my apologies. I forgot that we did, in my mind.
Quorum issue.
In my mind, no, in my mind, we had already done it. I forgot that these are different meetings. So yes, we are very, very fortunate to have a new executive director, coming from GoBiz actually. So we will can strengthen our interagency collaboration even further. Heiner Pereira, I'll allow him to introduce himself, to all of you now.
Thank you so much, and I'm very pleased to be here. My name is Heiner Pereira. I'm now the Executive Director for California's Workforce Development Board and really eager to get to know a lot of the board members and over the next weeks and months, hope to have sit downs with all of you to really go over strategic planning, long-term engagement, some of the factors and issues of the past, and make sure that we are running a machine that actually is intended and serves the board as well as possible, but also in downstream to our local boards and providing that kind of information as needed. So really eager to be here, really happy to be here. Obviously, I've been supported or am supported by a quite wonderful team, I must say. And should I go into the update that I'm expected to do next anyway?
Actually, hold off on that because most importantly, we have our quorum now. So at the risk of anybody dropping off.
I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna just
We have to do the
check
roll. then.
everyone in
Yeah.
and make sure that everyone's here. So I do know Mr. Leonard Gonzalez from Sacramento, and then you, sir?
Jim Sunan, designate for Secretary, Dr. Mark Galley at Health and Human Services Agency.
Okay, so we just hit the bare minimum threshold, so I'd like to take up the action item immediately, and then we can go back to the regular.
We do have one more, and then you, sir.
Fabrizio Sasso, Sacramento Central Labor Council.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for being here. So, okay, so we have one extra one too, so that's good. So we can now entertain the approval of March 27th, 2024 meeting summary. If you go on your agenda packet, you can find this on page 4. And yeah.
So moved. Go ahead, just go ahead.
Okay, motion by Stephen. Is there any second? Second, Jamil Dada. Do we have any public input from Oakland, Los Angeles, Sacramento? Jeff, is there anything submitted? Email? There's so many options. Nothing? Anyone?
It's on the meeting minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so nothing. So
Can I, excuse me, what did you call the question on?
I'm asking for input or comments or questions related to March 27th agenda item, the meeting summary, action item. So we have a comment or question from Anthony?
Yeah, just a point of correction on the spelling of Sonia Christian. It's Christian, no, Christensen.
Okay. Is someone from staff acknowledge that? Okay, Ben McDonald acknowledged it. Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Nothing else was submitted. So again, for those that are in the room, we can do a voice.
We're gonna do essentially the same thing that we did,
Okay.
but this time we can restrict it to those who have been here.
Okay, perfect. So we're gonna run through person by person.
So is everyone prepared?
Yes, yeah.
And what are we prepared for what? We're really,
We have to vote, everybody has to do a roll call vote. This is matter of statute. This is not something we're just discretionarily doing, so we have to
No, I
go name by
understand.
name. Yeah,
but
we're
what are we
going name by
voting
name.
on?
We're voting on approving the meeting summary from March 27th. The meeting minutes.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McDonald.
Thank you.
Right here.
Okay, we will start with Chancellor Sonia Christensen and her designee.
Christian.
My fault.
Okay.
Approved. A.
Mr. Jamil Dada.
Aye.
They were all brought here. I don't know what happened.
Fabian Iger, Ms. Factor.
They're on the chair back there.
Here, yeah, we haven't seen the meeting minutes there. Oh, yeah, they were on a back chair. We didn't get past
We
it.
all received it.
Oh, we did. Okay, great.
This information was submitted
Yeah.
prior to this board meeting. I just want to make sure to.
No,
note that.
I understand. We're just having a little chaos here.
Come back to Ms.
Okay,
Factor.
let's
Yeah,
go.
do us at the end, okay, please? The folks in LA.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, understood, yeah.
Okay. So Nancy Frias,
Yes.
Mr. Farouk?
Yes.
Are we only doing Sacramento or are we just skipping LA for now?
Skip LA.
Skip LA.
So Mr. Field?
Here, present.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Leonard Gonzalez?
Aye.
Jason Hayter?
Aye.
Oh, we're skipping LA. Oh, but you made it anyway.
They're back.
Okay, we're here.
Hillary Lentini?
She's LA.
Say it again. Present.
Well, we're
We're skipping. Stephen Monteros? Yes.
I don't know. I guess I didn't hear.
Mr. Redlow?
Yes.
Mr. Sasso?
Aye.
This is,
Jeremy Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Sensley?
Aye.
It's not on.
And Ms. Gloria Young?
aye.
Oh, no.
Other business.
Are we ready for Los Angeles or we want to go towards the end?
I also.
Oh, my apologies.
That was Joe Xavier for the.
Yes. Were we ready in Los Angeles or we want to come back later?
Yes, yes, we are.
And remember, you're voting on this, so you'd be voting in the affirmative or declining or abstaining. Those are your three options.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Okay, so Ms. Factor?
In other business, it says board member Bruce Stensley asked to offer a motion, if not procedurally allowed today, then to be added to the agenda at the next earliest opportunity. Is that on the agenda today? That motion?
Not that I know. I don't, this is.
No, it is not. There is an informational item related to SB 150, but there is no specific procedural motion.
The point is that the topic itself was added to the agenda, and we will speak to that in a moment. Brooke will be addressing that.
I'll follow up on that. Well, then.
Yeah.
Well,
So
when,
it does, so it
yeah.
does reflect it. So it's a yes.
it's a yes then, okay. It's nice to be more explicit, but thank you.
If we're ready to go on, Mr. Field?
Who?
Who?
Dean Field?
Say aye.
I apologize, we just did that.
He said aye.
Lawrence Frank?
Yes.
And Hillary Lentini?
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries unanimously. We're gonna move forward with the agenda. The other thing that we did at the executive committee in the beginning of the meeting that wasn't on the agenda was we honored the memory of our beloved board member at the state, Mike Gallo, who passed away. And I wanted to turn it over to my colleague Jamil Dada, who attended his funeral, just to say some comments as well.
Thank you, Dr. Farouk, Chairman Farouk. Mike Gallo was a member of this, active member of this board for many, many years and a real big player in workforce, believed in this stuff at the state and the national level. We surely will miss him. Sadly, he did pass away and he was a member of the San Bernardino County Workforce Board and a past chair there. And we're sorry to lose him. I did attend his memorial on our behalf and made some comments on our behalf. And anyway, may he rest in peace, and we wished his family strength in bearing the big loss as it is for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamil. And we will adjourn in honor of his memory like we did at the executive committee. So we will now turn to state plan update, Kind of Pereira.
Thank you so much. So the Workforce Development Board submitted our annual state, our four-year plan. Yes, our state plan that is due every 2 years, well, with updates and modifications. We received around 30 comments related to the information that was included. Those have since been addressed and updated. However, there is still one related to a compliance issue on board construction that we were trying to finalize right now. That is in process and will be and we will receive essentially a conditional approval until that is completed. We recently met with the appointments office to close out this specific item and then provide that information back to the Department of Labor.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the board? We'll get to public comments on the whole section at the conclusion of this, but from the board, are there any comments or questions for Kaina? Okay. We'll now turn to our informational item that was referenced earlier.
Sorry, did we miss something? Were we supposed to see a copy of that or of that state plan?
Once we do have a final version, which is approved from DOL, it will be made available on the website, CWDB.ca.gov.
So that's not part of our coded obligation to assist?
No, this is a compliance document ensuring that we're performing under the WIO statutes.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now turn to the informational item, SB 150, which is a follow-up from the last meeting. And I'll turn it over to Brooke, our chief counsel.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I'm also trying to control the camera. Multitasking is not a strong suit of mine. So this is an informational item. We want to follow up on some comments that were made by the board at the last full board meeting regarding the SB 150 report. I'd like to start just by explaining that SB 150 legislation, which is codified at the Government Code Section 6990.1, directed the Labor and Workforce Development Agency to present certain recommendations to this board in a regularly scheduled public meeting. The legislation didn't have any further content around that. That was the directive. And that did happen. We understand that the board would like to ensure that future items of a similar nature have more of a defined and understood process for suggestions. We've taken that to heart and we'll make sure that that happens in the future.
That's excellent. Bruce, you wanted to comment on this?
I just have two questions. One, perhaps we'll get into more detail about what are the responsibilities of the workforce board consistent with the Employment Insurance Code, which I see links directly consistent definitions in section 1305 and develop standards, procedures, and criteria, including high-load employers, high-load jobs, high-load workforce development, and high-load training partnerships. Seems that establishing standards, procedures, criteria is in their purview. So I understood the notion that I passed at the last meeting. In fact, I prefaced it by saying I understand this is on the board. So but the question that I asked can come back. So I understand it's coming back as a discussion item, but I'm also wondering what are the authorities of process for a board member requesting and giving an item for the action item on the board? Sure. We have that authority as a member to request an item to be an action item on the board. So that presentation, we're actually asking about to go over the details of what is asked of and required of the board. And so we look forward to that presentation and answer that question.
Any other comments or questions?
We lost your sound.
Connection, which we're trying to resolve.
Buildings, we don't have Wi-Fi.
Okay. Here's our connection. It's a just want to stand by for a minute or so if people need to have them. Yeah, let's take a look.
The phone call is.
Thank you.
Blue button.
Bob, can you hear us in Los Angeles?
Diane, we can hear you loud and clear.
Hi, Diane, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So it must be at the Sacramento.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
You could say we just killed the video.
Can somebody please repeat the comment by Bruce Stensley? We weren't able to hear it well.
I think none of us heard it in the satellites.
I think they're taking a 5-minute break to fix the sound issue.
Audio.
Bob, did you hear what Bruce said, or we just never heard a thing?
No, we couldn't hear what Bruce said either.
Okay, so it's on their end.
Yeah, it's on their end. Well, they know that. They're on a 5-minute break to try to fix it.
Oh, we didn't even hear that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sent it in the chat.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, with an unstable way. But which are we?
But if you guys want to have a meeting with us, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
I have a topic.
Yeah.
I've got a topic. Stop wasting our time. Yeah, we need meeting rooms that actually work and
Yes.
take proper meetings.
Thank God that we can mute ourselves during the meeting. Because we have many comments here about the technology.
Oh, you too. Okay.
So do you think there'll be another chance to kind of continue some of the conversation about SB 150 and related issues? It looks like that's on the
We can, but
agenda, right?
they made it informational though.
It's okay, even if it's informational. I mean, we are mostly in an advice.
So Bob and I are on the executive board and they did this presentation at the executive board and this is they went over this code and then I compared it.
Telling us what our role is.
Yes, and then this is the actual code. Yeah. Oh.
It still assists the governor, doesn't assist the board, it assists the governor.
It looks like we're back online with Sacramento.
All right.
You guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I just want to remind you that that the entire meeting was being recorded this whole time, so just be mindful of whatever comments you're making as part of the public record.
Very good.
Yes,
We're fine.
we're just trying to figure out what's
Thank you.
going on. Yeah.
Telling you as a courtesy, yeah.
Okay, so we can hear you. Can you hear us from Oakland?
Hear you. I'm just reassembling everybody back into for the meeting to commence.
Angelo, the best sound always comes from you at the meeting.
Whatever that mic is.
So whatever mic you're working at is the best.
So maybe people need to go up front when they're making a comment to go into that mic.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay,
so that's the best mic. That's what I'm hearing.
okay, so that's fine. All of your input is noted, and our chief counsel, who's about to commence with her update regarding the review of California Workforce Development Board's legislative mandate and compliance efforts, has said that, you know, and courtesy of kind of obviously, that staff are aware of the different dynamics of what's happening with the technology, and they will be evaluating alternatives so that there's more contingencies in place to have consistent quality communication. So I'll not.
Just, and I don't, we can do it later, but we did not hear Bruce Stensley what he said. So
Brilliant, whatever.
if we can have that.
Bruce said it was brilliant
content, because we couldn't understand it.
If it's okay with you, Bruce, your comment is really more about, it's going to be potentially addressed in this presentation. If not, then they'll hear your comment in reaction to it. So you will be, so let's just go straight to the presentation. Thank you, Brooke.
Can everyone hear me? If not, I'll move the mic this way.
We can hear you in Oakland.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. My name is Brooke Barnum Roberts, and I'm Chief Counsel for the California Workforce Development Board. And I'm going to give a short presentation. I've tried to make it a bit shorter and streamline it for those of you that are hearing it for a second time. But the idea behind this presentation is just to go over the board's legislative mandate and some compliance efforts that are being taken by staff so that we're all on the same page. It's an attempt to level set, I think. Stand by, we're just getting the presentation PowerPoint in order. So the goals today, at least from my point of view, is to provide a legal refresher on what the role and responsibilities of the CWDB are, to summarize where we're at in seeking compliance, and to energize and mobilize the board to engage with its legislative mandate. We know the board is full of many experts in their areas, and we want you to be able to do work and to use this board efficiently and effectively. To start off, let's look at the organizational structure. The California Workforce Development Board is part of the executive branch. We sit under the umbrella of the Labor and Workforce Development Agency, and through the LWDA, the Labor and Workforce Development Agency, we report to the governor. In fact, we used to be part of the EDD, and now we are at the department level. So EDD, DIR, and these other various boards are our sibling departments. If you look to California law, it says that CWDB is the body responsible for assisting the governor in development, oversight, and continuous improvement of the California workforce investment system and the alignment of the education and workforce investment system to suit the needs of the 21st century economy and workforce. And that was reflected from the very beginning when the state workforce boards were formed in response to a federal call. So back in 1999, an executive order was signed establishing the State Workforce Board in response to WIOA, which is the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act of, or sorry, it was WIA then, the Workforce Innovation Act of 1998. In the following section of that law, it says that the board shall report through its executive director to the Secretary of the Labor and Workforce Development Agency. And so that's why, Stuart or his designee is often here to weigh in and share information. We work closely with LWDA. The following section, actually, I guess two further sections down, 14013, lays out some of the duties of the board. So in assisting the governor, there's some specific asks. We are asked to promote the development of a well-educated and highly skilled workforce system and to help develop a high road economy that's not going to just create any sort of workforce, but an educated and skilled workforce with fair compensation and treatment in the workplace. We're asked to develop, implement, and modify the state plan. And we're asked to review and provide technical assistance to statewide policies, programs, and recommendations on actions that should be taken to align workforce, education, training, and employment funding programs to support that comprehensive, high quality, and streamlined workforce development system in the state. Under subsection D, some things are broken out. How do we improve the workforce development system? Well, some ways we can do that is by identifying barriers and how to remove them, developing, promoting, and implementing, I just abbreviated this as DPI, of strategies for career pathways for various low-skilled populations, outreach to needy areas, and then looking at industry-specific in-demand fields and strategies around that. Developing standards for high road terms, using lessons learned from ongoing high road initiatives like HRTP, the training partnerships, and HRCC, the construction careers. Administering those training partnerships, and then also recommending policies for certain workers, including dislocated and adult workers. That section goes on to ask the board to help identify regions and designate local areas, to develop one-stop delivery systems. And those are places where a worker can go to, get help. And to recommend strategies to the governor on these 15% discretionary funds. They are also, the board is also asked to develop strategies to support training and awareness across the workforce development system. And then the next section I broke out because it's sort of unique in that the board is asked to develop the governor to, state performance accountability measures. So not just coming up with a strategy, but also measuring and analyzing what's working and what's not working when it comes to credential and training completion, demographic breakdowns and outcomes, performance of specified programs, and participant earnings. There are also other collection and reporting duties in other parts of the law, including data collection and reporting requirements for high road workforce programs, and measuring and reporting on training-related job placement outcomes. So one thing the CWDB does, and we have staff built out to do this, is working on research and evaluation and being able to measure what it is we're doing to try to make the workforce better. In section 14013, continued here, some things we're asked to do are identifying and sharing best practices. So what is it we're doing that's working well when it comes to one-stop centers, when it comes to development of local boards and effective training programs, using that same data analysis. Developing and reviewing statewide policies on the one-stop centers, and developing strategies for tech improvements to improve access and quality in the one-stop system. Developing strategies to align tech and data systems for one-stop partner programs, and developing allocation formulas for programs, and preparing annual reports. So you can see many of these duties are focused around what's now WIOA. The law goes on to say the board shall assist the governor in developing statewide workforce labor market information systems, working with EDB, our sibling agency, and local boards to develop agreements between local boards in responding to disasters, developing other policies to promote statewide objectives for the workforce development system. Ours a bit of a catch-all, and then helping individuals that have barriers achieve upward mobility. And also evaluating program outcomes for CWDB grant programs, for which we run quite a few. And that that sort of concludes my presentation on the law when it comes to board duties. But there are other spots in the law that speak to what the board should look like. For instance, board composition. If you look to WIOA section 101B and the Code of Federal Regulations, which is listed up there, that section. Sorry, it's a mouthful. As well as the Unemployment Insurance Code, those place conditions on board composition. And the idea here, I think, was to ensure that this board is representative of business and industry experts, as well as labor representatives that are leaders, as well as government leaders, to make sure that, you know, everyone has some input into the functions that the board carries out. Staff is currently conducting a compliance review to make sure that we are following the laws and that apply to board composition. And we will be in full compliance, I think, in the coming months. Looking to the board's bylaws, the staff is also conducting a review of those bylaws. And I wanted to, in conducting the review, I wanted to point out a couple of things about our bylaws that are important to keep in mind, I think, as a board member. One is that there is an attendance expectation, and attendance was, you know, quite good during the time where folks could just call in from home. And I understand that that's a bit easier than physically showing up in person to a location that's not your home. But as we all know now, the Bagley-Keene rules have changed on that. And because our board is so large, we've chosen to host several in-person attendance locations. And it seems to be working out so far, but we just ask that you continue to make the effort, and we appreciate you all showing up. If there are multiple absences in a row, you know, we'll have to think, is this the right fit? And then the bylaws also provide for a number of different committees. There's the executive committee, which you all are probably aware of, and that's a standing committee, as well as ad hoc and special committees. And staff will be looking at how we can use committees to do more effective and efficient work. Part of the reason we've been doing this bylaw review is because Department of Labor conducts audits, including a 2022 audit of our bylaws, where they pointed out we needed to make a couple of changes. So in doing that, we will be presenting to the board some recommended amendments to the bylaws, including a name change. This board used to be called the California Workforce Investment Board, but it has not been called that since, I think, 2016. So we're going to make that change and reflect the correct name. We will also update to reflect that members of this board serve at the pleasure of the appointing authority. We will make an update regarding the removal process and notification for vacancies, just to streamline filling those vacant positions as they pop up. And then we will make other minor updates for accuracy and clarity. We, as far as next steps, we anticipate being able to share the full text of the proposed amendments with the board for review and approval, hopefully at the next meeting in August. And that's what I have in terms of level setting. Thank you for your patience. If there are questions, I promise to put our new executive director in the hot seat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Can I just make a comment? Please, just for those of you that are newer, just for clarification, because sometimes it gets confusing because of the names. So prior to WIOA, which is the Workforce Innovation and Opportunities Act, the former law was called WIA, which was Workforce Investment Act. And at that time, Congress was calling the workforce boards the Workforce Investment Boards. That's why we were called the Workforce Investment Board. But then WIOA became the law. They changed the name back to Workforce Development Board. So now all the local boards have gone from Workforce Investment Boards to Workforce Development Boards. And I think we're a little behind, and that's what we're doing. So just for clarification. That's.
Thank you, Jamil. Bruce, I want to, just as a courtesy, do you want to?
Sure, I'll just hop in. Thank you. The report's great and really appreciate it. And I just feathering out one of the details on the first slide relative to responsibilities. And I mentioned it earlier. And to my question at the last meeting about a motion, and I'm quoting paragraph I think it's D5 of 1403. Quote, consistent with the definitions in section 1405, which defines where high road standards. Developing standards, procedures, and criteria for defining high road employers, high road jobs, high road workforce development, high road training partnerships in accordance with lessons learned from the board's ongoing high road development initiatives. So I guess I have two questions. One was before, have we not, and why not, and can we, as a board, establish policies, which was driven sort of by some of the concerns with the 150 report that was presented last month? Can we literally have, I think the language was, the board consider and adopt policy requiring labor equity and climate standards and their enforcement, because we do have, as mentioned, performance outcome standards is our responsibility. Their enforcement governing the deployment of federal and state transportation infrastructure and related funds. It seems that's within our purview. So that's my first question. Am I correct in reading that paragraph of 1403 that our responsibility may include the establishment of such standards?
From my understanding, and I'm also looking at Brooke here, it does. However, what we don't have is a process for submitting that information through the board to then make those recommendations by extension to the governor, which is something that we've been talking about. How do we formalize that engagement process with the board members to allow those comments to be aggregated in and then presented through those official realms? So like one through the Secretary of Labor and by extension to the governor. Now, in reference to how we've done this in the past, I have not seen any instances in pouring through the detailed information that we have on our servers and whatnot, that this has occurred in the past. And so what we do want to have is some formal process for that submission and for those dialogues to happen. And I'm really eager to speak to all of you guys about how we can make that function in a way that's beneficial to each of the members of the board, and also to ensure that we give enough time for both review, commentary, aggregation, and then, eventual submission up through our administration. I know that doesn't satisfy previous actions that have been done, but going forward, as you can see, I take a pretty hard line on compliance and ensuring that we will be compliant. And so in that respect, we will definitely be developing at least a process by which those kinds of recommendations can be submitted formally. And then the other part is, as we aggregate that information, we would then represent the aggregated information to the board members for concurrence as to what is submitted formally.
Okay, thank you. So I guess as a follow-up, so it seems to me there are two issues here. One is, what would be the substance of a recommendation? And then there's process.
Yes.
The question behind that is staff. So the language here also notes that board's responsibility in accordance with lessons learned from the board's ongoing high road workforce development initiatives. Has staff developed any kind of research and study and shared it on what would be quality standards or high road standards that we've already prescribed to grantees in the past?
So to my knowledge, most of the programs are still active. And so a lot of the evaluation is not yet completed. But those standards the criteria basing for those standards has been completed. It's just whether or not we have enough data to then present.
Okay. And finally, it just seems that we are prescribing these as a matter of principle. I'm simply looking to see if it makes sense to take the principles, excuse the term rhetoric sometimes, as the administrator of one of the as Kina would know, California Jobs First initiatives, where we're required to be pushing forward standards on quality jobs, et cetera. This is all language on priorities. I'm just wondering if there isn't a means to turn these into sort of more substantial standards and direction.
I think from my opinion, I'd love to get deeper into the conversation to know exactly what you're looking for and what the other board members are looking for, so we can actually make a concerted effort as one voice to get it the way that we want it.
And then I think I said lastly, but I'll go on last. My last question earlier was, and it's not a big deal, but just a question. All boards have this in their bylaws or in some language. How does a member get an item onto an agenda? If you could address that, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, a board member can always move to add an item to the next meeting's agenda. And then we would have you, whoever that board member is, we'd have you work with staff to refine and define the item to make sure it's something that makes sense. Okay.
When you say move, do you mean you don't mean in a formal action of like, because it wouldn't be something that we would necessarily vote on. You're saying move as in a recommend, and then that way, again, staff would recalibrate on the appropriate context and procedures and how you would, or the language you would use to consider those items. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, it's sort of messy, right? If you're at a board meeting, as we were a month ago, and said, can we have an item, then you got a group. It'd be crazy. I can't just call you up and say, hey, can we add a board item, an agenda item? But I'm wondering if there's got to be some structure to that, and I'm not sure what it is.
But so we would want a formal vote on it.
I don't think you need to go the whole thing, but a motion and a second, wouldn't that be?
And we had that at the last meeting where the senator understood that we're addressing that. I'm just saying that that's what happened.
Well, I defer to our counsel, so if a motion and a second is sufficient to do that, and then, like I said, based on the nature of what the request is, then council with our executive director would
determining the right response.
Yeah, the context and the appropriate language.
And I guess I would close them by saying, appreciate the report, but the request for a motion to do this still stands.
For which,
as submitted back in March. And if we want to do it again, I could do it. Just make a motion that we do agendize a discussion on the specific content of establishing labor equity and climate standards and their enforcement.
Sure. Okay, the motion's been made by Bruce. Second by Jeremy. So our staff will follow up. It's been acknowledged.
Thanks. And I'll be quiet now.
Thank you. No, thank you. That's very good. Bruce Redlow. Oakland.
We have two comments from Oakland. First, Gloria would like to start, and then I have a second comment.
I just wanted to say thank you very much for the presentation. I understand that you said that it was scaled down, and I would appreciate receiving the full presentation if you could make copies of that available to each one of us. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, so a couple quick comments. One is, I just wanted to add our condolences on Mike Gallo, as I talked about at the executive meeting. It was very sad to hear that news. He was a phenomenal leader on the board with us for the past 10 years. In the last meeting, I also made some pretty pointed comments about the role of our board and the leadership abilities. And in this report, you know, it's kind of like a downer to see, you know, we're codified into being assistants, you know, and for the last 10 years or so, I've always felt, and I know other board members have felt, that we're leaders. You know, we're leaders in change. And talking about the things I talked about in the executive meeting about leading, you know, there are many workforce councils. We have ETP, we have apprenticeship, we have many workforce across different agencies. And I always feel like the California Workforce Board has always been the group to lead, to change those barriers, to lead, to make the changes, to do more than just assist. And yeah, maybe it's not codified, but it's the way that we feel, right? And as we address barriers, as we address social and economic mobility, as we address phenomenal career path training programs, high road training programs, as we address those barriers in terms of what I talked about last meeting, in terms of people being paid when they're, you know, being able to be paid when they go through training, et cetera. These are all issues that are important for us to bring up, whether they're codified in our assisting abilities or whether they're codified in the recommendations we make in our reports. You know, this is a forum for where change happens. And it's been that way for the past 10 years, and it's been great. So I just want to add those comments and say, you know, yes, we want to be, you know, we want to be sticklers to what the law says, but we also want to make sure that we're perpetuating change for the better of training folks in California. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, first to Jeremy Smith.
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to entertain the idea of taking Member Stensley's thought one step further and actually have the board maybe produce a resolution, you know, codifying our stance on this SB 150 money and how it's used. And I don't know, I don't want to get into another conversation with the legal folks over there. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Just like, can we do that? Is that allowed? I would like to understand, can we send a message in an official capacity, in an official way in the form of a resolution that actually, lays out what this board believes in?
So two things, my understanding, my interpretation, correct me if I'm wrong, Bruce, is that your agenda request was broader than that, which is fine. So I just want to acknowledge, make sure that there's no discrepancy. Those are two separate agenda items being requested then. Is that correct?
Yeah, speechless. No. I think it's important that we set standards, and what I hear you saying is that it would be a board resolution, which is more of a.
Supporting those standards.
Yeah. And
as a group.
All good.
Okay.
Whatever.
No extra, I don't have anything else.
But do you prefer to consolidate your request, or do you prefer them to be two separate standards?
I'm good with two, all in one package.
Okay.
My thought was there's going to be a conversation about what he laid out in the last meeting and what he described today.
Right.
When we finish that conversation, we should, as a board, act in an official capacity.
There you go. Yes, agreed.
In a resolution type way, saying this is, we stand for labor and equity and all this stuff. This is what we believe in. This is how this money should be spent. We should make sure it's spent in that way. It creates a good synergy with our high road concept in general.
But are you thinking of like, and again, we'll hammer out more specifics, obviously, administratively offline, but I just want to make sure I understand correctly for the purpose of this meeting. Are you saying like two subsequent board meeting conversations, or are you talking about, like, I just want to understand the nature of the request, so we follow up accordingly.
I'm making a request that this board speak as one voice about what we stand for.
Right, regarding the resolution, I'm talking about reconciling both of these items. Are you trying to pair them together, or?
I haven't thought that deeply about it, Mr. Chair. Whatever the board is allowed to do is part of that conversation too.
Okay, so what, yeah, Fabrizio?
To me, it sounds like it's the matter of drafting policy and codifying it with resolution, and all of that can be done concurrently.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So what we'll do is, how about this? Let's just, if you're open to it, we can amend your agenda request to also encapsulate Jeremy's. Is that okay? So you're okay?
I take over your thing, sorry.
You're okay with that, Bruce? Bruce, you're okay with that?
I'm good.
And Jeremy, you're okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you make a motion to make that amendment. Do we have a second? Second, Leonard. Okay, so it's been acknowledged, and is it clear what Jeremy's request was, or does he need to restate it?
I think it's clear. I think Jeremy's signposting for where he wants the conversation to go and what he wants the result to be.
Perfect. No, thank you. We're all supporting. I just want to make sure I get it right. This is,
sorry.
Yeah, but this is my understanding based on this, that for agenda meeting request, it's just the first and the second. It's the staff. Then follow up. You're not seeking actual roll call votes on agenda item requests, right?
Unnecessary.
That's my understanding.
It's a motion.
There should be
I think we should take roll so we know how much of what part of the
Okay,
board is
that's fine.
interested in this.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I just, that wasn't expressed before, so that's fine. Ben McDonald will do a roll call vote on this matter.
I think Fabrizio had up.
Can we sharpen this so we know what
Yeah.
we're voting on? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw something else in here. I think it's also important, considering the timeliness of the matter, is to direct staff with a timeline on which to produce the language for both the resolution and the policies that are being considered. And knowing that we're not meeting every month, that there's consideration, depending on the will of the board here, to hold a special meeting to consider this more expeditiously.
You guys are fine with these amendments to one motion, understanding? Yeah.
And
I'd like to add a second amendment to the motion.
So I think we're like at number 3 now. But Larry, Frank, and then
Yeah.
Jeremy will sum it all up for us before we vote on it. Larry?
Yeah, I think this is a friendly amendment. So the standards conversation is an important conversation, but I think it really becomes meaningful if there are resources to help implement. And the, I see that there's $50 million, that has been negotiated as set aside funds for the high road construction careers, which is totally appropriate. That's 5% of $1 billion, and I believe we're getting $180 billion that's projected. So obviously, there seems that there's room for there to be additional set aside at some point. And I think there'd be an important recommendation to see if some of that set aside could go towards the high road training programs, which are going to be essential as part of what's, being built out in the California economy. And I think as a workforce development, entity, we would really be well served to at least include recommendations related to additional set aside beyond construction, but into the other parts of the economy that are being built out by the three major sources of resources that are coming to California. And I know that those things are not decided yet, but it's a perfect good timing because those set asides could actually happen as additional resources are coming in.
So this motion is co-authored with.
Were people able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you with 4 different people. So I just want to make sure there's consensus. If we need to break up these motions, or are you okay with?
What I understand we're doing is we're requesting that we agendize a discussion and toward the establishment of policy ... as we formalize that by a resolution. And to Larry's point,
and Fabrizio's comment about time frame regarding
do it as soon as possible, and that we seek to resource by financial fund with fund contributions. I'll leave that to Larry's language. Is that
the set aside from the 3 bills that allow up to 5% in the infrastructure, but other ones allow, from the other, from the Inflation Reduction Act and from the CHIPS Act. Yeah, but all of them would be great for us to be able to participate in workforce development related to this incredible opportunity coming to California.
To my knowledge, the board cannot take action on resource allocation as it relates to appropriation from federally.
No, just recommendations.
Okay.
Could we, even if
we're assisting
on intent to, I think I hear what Larry's saying is it makes no sense to establish policy if there really isn't any money to implement. But we're not looking to implement a program. We're trying to influence the deployment of resources across the board. I think what Larry's looking at is assuring that we're applying that and going aggressively after that other money. And I don't know the details of that.
Okay, so are you okay with Larry's comments being incorporated?
By all means.
You are. Okay, so do you want to take a stab at it?
Well, I was just gonna read from the minutes from the last meeting.
Sure.
There's under 5B. Bruce's suggestion was that the state board consider and adopt policy requiring labor, equity, and climate standards and their enforcement governing the deployment of all federal and state transportation infrastructure and related funds. Period.
Right.
I would add to that as part of a motion that the board then resolve to publicly state what those standards are and their support for those standards.
Okay.
And there's a time frame.
Within the time frame. So what you just stated, including the time frame, that is the motion on the floor.
That would be
okay. So we will now turn to Mr. McDonald to do a roll call vote on that.
Okay. Could you clarify, is the vote to
the vote
that on the agenda?
Yes, exactly. The vote is to take what Jeremy just outlined with the timeframes and add it to a future agenda. Staff and council will work on the specifics on that.
Okay, without ado, Mr. Cordova.
Aye.
Mr. Dada.
Aye.
Okay.
Ms. Factor. Ms.
Aye.
Diane Factor? Oh,
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Ms. Nancy Farias.
Aye.
Mr. Farouk,
Aye.
Mr. Field.
I'm gonna abstain from this one.
It was an abstain.
Thank
We
you.
got it.
It's not on.
Mr. Frank,
Yes?
and then Mr. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mr. Hayter,
Aye.
Ms. Lentini,
Aye.
and Mr. Monteros. Aye. Mr. Redlow,
Yes.
Mr. Sasso,
Aye.
and Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Sensley,
Aye.
and Mr. Xavier.
Aye.
And finally, Ms. Young.
Aye.
Okay, so
You got it.
we have all,
Oh, my apologies.
For secretary now.
Skip. Ms. Smith.
okay, so we had one abstention and the rest were ayes. It's been acknowledged. Our council and staff will work to follow up on this. So do you guys, Oakland and LA, you have your hands up. Is that from before?
No, it's a new comment from Oakland. I just want to make sure that this is going to come to the executive board meeting before coming to the full board for next meeting.
So I just want to give the disclaimer for council and staff. They need to internally evaluate the situation. So I don't know if they're in a position to respond to it now, but I know time frame is part of that and a request of a special meeting to potentially before that. So all of those things will be taken into consideration, but I feel like they need some time to administratively discuss this before the response.
I'll speak on behalf of
Okay.
the staff. So
Sure.
it is our intent to meet with the four members who made the motion to get understanding and clarity of what the expectations and the deliverable will be, to then be able to fish out whether we need a special meeting or not, whether we can accomplish this by the next meeting that is scheduled for August 28th, I believe. So we'll work with the four board members who submitted the motion and the second and the amendments to ensure that we understand fully what is being asked and how it can be handled.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so now we'll turn to public comment, which can encompass the entire updates and discussion section. We'll start with those of us that are physically here in Sacramento, but please prepare if there are any public input there, please have them on standby. This is number 5, so.
I think on some agendas, there's.
Oh, I see.
I'm gonna.
Okay, that's fine. So we have 2 public comments here in Sacramento. We have,
This one is going to be delayed. So this one can happen now because it's.
oh, I see.
SB one
Yeah,
in particular.
Okay. So is it Cesar Laura?
Yes.
Okay, hey, good to see you, Cesar.
Yes.
You, Director of Workforce, Labor Fed, sorry, California Labor Federation, you have 2 minutes.
Is this the spot?
Let's make sure, I want to make sure everyone can hear you properly.
I'll speak loudly. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. This is a letter with the California Labor Federation, just on the motion that was just passed. I think having stakeholders as part of the process would be important, and more than happy to have the California Labor Federation and some of our unions support that, and maybe establishing a subcommittee of that, just so it's a little bit more formal. And so just in support of the resolution, and happy that it moved forward. Secondly, as well, is on high road training partnerships. As we know, this is a tough budget year. I think there's pain all over the state system, but this board has spent $370 million on high road training partnerships. So having some money to move forward, we have recommended to the budget committee that they set aside $25 million for new high road training partnerships. It's a tough year, but just wanted to tell the board that. And as your individual roles out in the community and as board, you should be advocating for that is my request, because we don't want that lost $370 million investment to go down the drain if we don't have new high road training partnerships going forward. So definitely want to work with everybody here, and as your role to get it up to the governor is to put that across, because it is in the governor's proposed budgets. This investment that's been done by this board, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Cesar. And Neil, then you wanted to speak in general comments, right? Okay, perfect. Just out of respect, want to double check. Is there any public input in any of our satellite offices? Public input?
Yes, we have one public comment from Oakland.
Okay, please introduce yourself, whomever you may be, and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you for the chair. Hi, my name's Scott Lewis. I'm an executive director for NorCal Carpenters Union Apprenticeship and Training Program. I appreciate the board that you put your effort with the California Workforce Investment Agency. I've been around quite a while. When the WIOA Act came out, and the expansion of apprenticeship, not only statewide, but federal-wide. We are an approved and authorized training provider for the high roads job. We quickly got on board, understanding the transition and everything, how it's being made. With the SB 50 and all of the different facets that are going to be controlling how this is working with the agency and with the workforce development, project labor agreements are crucial for the carpenter's voice to be heard. That we provide the majority of the work and the labor process out there, as well as with the green technologies and the advancements. So we're going to be attending these meetings, and however we can participate and help, I'm more than willing to do my fair share in order to make the heavy lifting light with multiple hands. So I also participate in the California Apprenticeship Council, as well as the California Apprenticeship Coordinator Association, and all of our alliances throughout not only California, but North America. So I wanted to introduce myself, say thank you for the work that you've been doing, and I appreciate you all.
Thank you, Scott. In Los Angeles, do we have any public input there? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Your body language already conveyed the sentiment. Okay, so do we have any emailed or YouTube public input?
There's no public comment on YouTube. There was one email submitted.
For this item? The email is for this item?
Actually, no.
Okay.
It would be in relation to the presentation that was given by the council.
That's this section. So please proceed. We have 2 minutes to read that email. Otherwise, the contents will be shared more broadly.
The email is from Kimberly Perez at the Capital Morning Report. Kimberly says, "Good morning. I am working on listing the upcoming board meeting in the morning report and would love to highlight agenda item 3F, review of the board's legislative mandate and compliance efforts. Is someone able to provide more information on this agenda item? I am unable to locate any supplemental documents on this item."
Okay, sorry, if please pause for a second. If we can mute Los Angeles.
Miranda, can you mute?
Just out of respect, I want to make sure the public comment could be heard. Please proceed.
Looking forward to hearing back. And then I also just want to mention that this has already been replied to and it has been forwarded to our legal counsel already.
Sounds good. Thank you. That concludes the updates and discussion section. Okay, so this now takes us to
I'm sorry, Jamil, can I just ask if the funding and the set aside related to what SB 150 is all about was a friendly amendment and will be able to be part of the discussion?
Part of what discussion?
Related to the resolution or the motion that was just made. I made it a friendly amendment, and I just want to just make sure that the set aside conversation is part of it, which does fund
I can speak to
standards
that. Larry, I
or
can speak to that.
HRTP.
Can you hear me?
I just want to make sure that that's part of the conversation.
Can you hear Brooke? Can you hear us?
Yes, now I can.
Okay, Brooke will respond.
Hi, Larry, this is Brooke. Yes, that was taken into consideration and we will be sure to follow up with you, Bruce, Jeremy and Fabrizio to make sure that we have clarity, staff has clarity about what the request is and how to address it. But we heard
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll now turn to other business. The Political Reform Act requires certain officials and employees who serve in positions designated in the California Workforce Development Board's Conflict of Interest Code to file a statement of economic interest, which we refer to as FPPC Form 700. Your statement was due back on April 2nd of this year. Late statements are subject to a $10 per day fine with a maximum fine of up to $100. Ian Hay has been very active in communicating all of this to us. But if you have any questions, please direct to him. Our next full board meeting is August 28th at 10 a.m. The rest of the dates are on our website. We'll now turn to general public comments. Do we have any comments or questions from the board before we take the public comments? Okay.
Sorry, Angela, there might be something under other business, like a brief update. A board member indicates you may have a brief update.
It's not on my.
Sorry, is that number 4, other business?
I wasn't informed that. So if that's the case, somebody should.
This is gonna be with, I believe, Hillary Lentini.
Okay. Hillary.
Brief, she wanted to speak.
Okay. Sorry, Hillary, it wasn't in my thing. So, but please feel free to proceed with your update.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, this is in relation to my role as liaison with the SRC. So this is a short update to share with everyone here. Disability Works California on May 14th, DOR announced the department's new name, Disability Works California. This name received positive feedback from many stakeholders, staff, business partners, consumers, and community-based organizations. As Disability Works California, the department will no longer have a name that gets confused with corrections or drug rehabilitation facilities or implies that people with disabilities need to be rehabilitated. Details regarding implementation will be announced in the coming months. Next topic, Office of Employment First. Also announced on May 14, DOR will establish the Office of Employment First, which will guide strategic planning and support employment opportunities for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities statewide. The press release regarding the department name change for the Office of Employment First is available on the website. The last and third topic, behavioral health workforce. The following reports regarding behavioral health workforce needs may be of interest to the California Workforce Development Board members. Minding the Future, a report on workforce challenges in youth behavioral health, California Alliance of Child and Family Services, and I would request that Miranda please disseminate that link. And the second one, Workforce Needs Assessment Report, County Behavioral Health Directors Association of California, and that is a separate link that I will request also be disseminated. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Hillary. We'll now go to the public comment from our Sacramento, Neilden, Sean, yeah, Carpenters Union. You have 2 minutes. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I believe it's still good morning. Again, my name is Neilden John Charles. I'm a field representative for the NorCal Carpenters Union. I'm also a member of Local 46 right here in Sacramento. In that, I'm also a field representative representing 36,000 members throughout Northern California. I want to start off by just thanking you guys for the work that you do. The work that you do is vital in making sure it's collaborative approach in solving issues when it relates to economic workforce. In a world where there is a desperate need for qualified workers, it has never been more pressing than right now to require apprenticeship programs. By requiring the use of apprenticeship on a construction project, you are empowering individuals with hands-on skills and training into a lifelong career. In return, businesses and companies ensure that there is a constant supply of trained workers ready to meet demand. Ensuring an apprenticeship program is approved by a state is necessary to ensure that apprentices are graduating through a process of a joint training apprenticeship program that encompasses labor and management. We cannot only focus on the apprenticeship aspect, but we also need to ensure that these jobs that these apprentices are working on are jobs where individuals can earn their way into the middle class. The gap between the middle class and the rich has widened over the years and keep getting worse. Taking a collaborative approach to solving the wage gap issue by requiring and providing good paying jobs is vital to sustain the middle class. Making sure these jobs are good union paying jobs, it extends far beyond the individual. Beyond the apprenticeship and the good wages, the knockout capitalists do recognize the need for inclusion and diversity in the workforce. Hence why the carpenters have stepped up our efforts in recruiting and mentoring our members who are historically marginalized. We have created committees within the organization which focus on marginalized groups, whether through support or through recruitment, to uplift those individuals, to provide them with the helping hands and the support that they need to be prosperous. And to wrap up.
Thank you, Neil.
Okay.
But you feel free to give us the entire document. I assure you, we will acknowledge the full.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. LA and, well, I'll start with Oakland. Is there any public comment there for general public comments?
No, we're good here.
Okay, Los Angeles, do you have any general public comments?
No.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, do we have public comment submitted via email or YouTube?
No general public comment.
Okay, so we will now adjourn in the honor and memory of our beloved board member Mike Gallo. But we have to entertain a motion to adjourn. So motion by Jamil, second by Stephen. We have to do a roll call.
Silly.
We get so good at this roll call.
I'm already coming up with the improvements to my sheets. Okay,
Motion, that's fine.
so we will begin as we did last time with Mr. Tony Cordova. Mr. Dada.
Yes.
You just should have adjourned, not made a motion.
Diane Factor.
Aye.
And then Nancy Farias.
Aye.
My apologies. Mr. Farouk.
Aye.
Mr. Fielk.
Aye.
Mr. Frank.
Yes.
Mr. Swinen. Oh, he stepped away. All right. Mr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mr. Hayter.
Aye.
Ms. May.
Aye.
Ms. Lentini.
Aye.
Mr. Monteros.
Aye.
Mr. Redlow.
Aye.
Mr. Sasso.
Aye.
And Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Sensley.
Aye.
Mr. Xavier.
Aye.
And Ms. Young.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for all your engagement input. I adjourn the meeting at 11:39 a.m. Thank you.